Hi, Justice. Hi, Drew. Ezra, are you Big Goomba? Huh. Yeah, you are actually. It's there. Oh, okay. Just admitting everyone here. The most wonderful time of the day. How are we all doing? Good one, Ezra. I saw that. Solved any great Rubik's Cubes recently? Are you beating your time? Are you up at 2:30 a.m. doing these things?
Not really.
Okay.
Maybe last night a little bit.
Okay. Have you done any triangular ones? I've seen some different, not just like the square shape.
Yeah, I got a pack for Christmas, so I have a whole bunch, and I was almost solving them last night, but I can't because I'm not that smart.
Okay, gotcha. Welcome. Okay, so I am starting something new at the start of geography classes, just to keep it fun and interesting. So I have chipper chips, and I am literally going to write your name on this. If you complete my challenge, it will go in my special container. And when you have 5 of these, I will be sending a treat home in your next available package. Okay, so want to keep it real, want to keep it fun in the start of geography here. So your first challenge is find an adorable sibling, bring them back to the camera where they will say, I love Canada. Okay, go to it if you want to be part of the challenge. Oh,
Naya, okay, say it. I love Canada.
I love Canada.
Okay,
oh,
good.
amazing. Ezra, you're fast. Okay,
I literally picked her up and carried her into the room.
I see that. And she was fine with it, it looked like. Okay, Ezra's name has gone on a chipper chip, the first one. You can still, it's not
part of the candy.
It's not the first one, it's everyone. Hello, welcome.
Adelaide, you gotta say, I love Canada. Just say it.
I love Canada. Say it. Say it. Say it.
Come on, Adelaide, please.
Say it. Say it.
Come here,
Justice
just look
will
at the
get
camera
a
and say
prize, and he'll share it with you.
it. Come on, Adelaide.
I can get a prize. Not
You
sure.
need to help me get a prize.
Canada.
Say it.
Say
Say it,
it.
Adelaide.
No.
Okay, is Juno a cute sibling? Here, come here. Look at the
Adorable
camera
sibling.
and say, I love Canada.
I love
I need it
Canada.
for a challenge.
Yes.
Say it.
Nope.
Why? It's not that hard.
Say it, you can do it.
Never mind. It's hopeless.
They don't have to be younger than you. Siblings can be adorable at all ages.
Let me go grab my sister out of her college class.
Yeah.
Literally
Would
15
you mind?
seconds, like less. She was in here.
Oh.
Yeah, neither of my
Ran in.
sisters will ever do something like that, sadly.
Oh, A for effort though. Wow. Love it. Okay.
I had to bend Will. It was fun. I love Canada.
Yay! Way to go. Alexa, your name is on a chipper chip in the container. Wow. Nicely done. Okay, so Harrison's still missing. Grabbing his sister from college. He might not be back in time. Okay. I love your dedication to this though.
You going for the camera.
I love Canada.
Amazing.
There you go.
We love you. Okay, Harrison. Well done. Okay.
Not younger, but it works.
Hey, we, by any means, fair or foul, we will apprehend them physically, put them in a chair and bribe them, whatever it takes to get her done. Okay, awesome. So I have 4 names on Chipper Chips in my Chipper bucket here. So keep them coming. Watch for your next geography challenge. It'll be in the first 5 minutes of our Zoom call. Do you see what I'm doing there? It's almost like I'm bribing you to come on time. What? Oh, I am so transparent in my methods. Oh, well. Okay. I see there's a little notice in the chat. Oh, I know. They are adorable. Yes, Leah, they're adorable. If you can get them here and say, I love Canada, it'll count. Okay, I wanted to check in population pyramid questions. I think almost everyone joining us on this call has submitted it. I'm sorry if some of you found that tricky. It's hard for me to know what is going to be tricky and what's going to be super straightforward when I'm assigning this. So also wanted to really briefly let you know that from like Thursday afternoon at 4 until Monday morning, I am not really checking my work email. I am not Mrs. Ong then, okay? So I don't work Fridays. I also don't get paid for Fridays, so there's no gig there. So just to let you know, some of you are tackling your work kind of after school hours, and that's a-okay. Don't worry if you don't get a response from me. I'm just trying to have some good boundaries for work and other things. So I will always get back to you. And if it's due, say it's due Monday morning, and you haven't heard back from me because I have not checked my work email over the weekend, you will not get docked marks, okay? So we're in this together for real. I'm not just saying that. And I don't want you to be sweating it. So give it a good try. If you've asked a question and I haven't gotten back to you and it's due, don't panic. I'll get back to you and you'll be able to submit that without penalty later on, okay? So I think if you have questions about the population pyramid, can you just hang back at the end and shoot me a little message in the chat saying, this is uber confusing to me. Could I have a little bit of help? Since most people on the chat have submitted it, we'll carry on and I'll hit the people, not physically, hit you with my love and my solutions for population pyramid after this seminar. Okay, great. Now, we've talked a little bit about urban sprawl. You've been doing some research on those 2 articles. So could you get out your information, those kind of pros of urban sprawl and cons of urban sprawl? And while you're doing that, I am going to take you on the road. Look at me, I'm on the move, and I'm going to take you to my big tree in the backyard. Oh, it's bright out here, like a zombie or something. Okay, I'm gonna switch it around. Oh, you see that big guy back there with the yellow rope on it beside the shed? Oh, there. Okay. Do you see that big old tree there? Did you know that when I was like 12 and 13, let me do it again. Did you see my backyard? See my neighbor's backyard? This used to be a cornfield. And I knew that because the school that I went to was on the other side of the cornfield. And there was no road through here. So we used to just make our own little road and shave about 5 minutes off our bike commute to school by going straight through the cornfield. And I remember seeing that tree all the time, and now it's in my backyard. So it's pretty crazy that this used to be a farmer's field that I used to bike through. Yes, good one. So Justice notes there are hundreds of houses where, did you say, sorry, your mom's farm? Mom Old's farmhouse used to, wow, yeah. So even in St. Thomas, which hasn't typically grown very quickly, we've noticed a huge expansion of houses. And one of the last days we were at school together, Mrs. Gilbert took you guys like up that path and into the woods, and some of you caught snakes, and some of you screamed, some of you didn't. And that is urban sprawl. That used to be farmland not that long ago. So we have people who take a really negative and are warning, negative view of urban sprawl and are warning us about what happens when we just allow people to build and cities to expand over valuable farmland. And then we have other people saying urban sprawl has been around since the Roman Empire in 100 AD. We've always had urban sprawl. We're always going to have urban sprawl. Calm down. So those are kind of the two rough perspectives on urban sprawl. But I want to spend a couple of minutes with you guys just telling me what, when you're reading, what were some of the positives to urban sprawl and what were some of the negatives that you found? And if someone mentions something that you don't have, please go ahead and write that down. So you can either pop it into the chat, or my personal favorite, take your microphone off and just say it. So your sheet looks like this, urban sprawl, except yours is filled in, hopefully with a few details. Hey, Drew, what's one thing for either a benefit or a negative that you got?
A negative, it gets rid of farmland.
Okay, right. Yep, so David Suzuki in his article is saying, hey, some of our most valuable farmland is in danger of being paved over with roads and highways or housing developments. Anyone remember roughly how much of Canada's entire land base is suitable for growing food? Anyone remember that percentage out of 100? Alexa, do you remember it? Oh, you got it. Alexa says 5%. Okay, awesome. So when you think of all of Canada, a huge country, only 5% is actually land that we can grow food on. And then when that land is in danger of being developed through roads, highways, and housing and businesses, then people are saying, we're going to have a problem with our food source here shortly if we don't plan this carefully. Okay. So that seemed to be the big one in the David Suzuki article. The article entitled Urban Myths by Robert Brugman, he's saying almost the opposite here. What are some of the points that he makes to say urban sprawl isn't that bad? Harrison?
There's more smart growth.
Sorry, one more time.
He said there's more smart growth. I don't know what that means. Smart growth.
Smart roads?
Smart growth. Here, I'll type it.
Oh, smart growth. Thanks. No, I gotcha. I gotcha. Right. So he's saying it's not willy-nilly random. There's city planners who are incorporating not just green belts into this area, but also designating certain parts of the city for housing, certain parts for business in this zoning. So he's saying it is well planned out. What else? Anyone get something else from that article that says urban sprawl is not as bad as everyone is saying it is? Okay, one other point he makes is that cities have typically, historically, been really disgusting places. So before there was closed sewage, there was open sewage, and it would just like run in the gutters of the streets. And when it would flood, the gutters would overflow and you just had human sewage running down the streets. People used to dump their like chamber pots out their windows onto the streets. Hopefully you weren't walking under that at the time. So cities typically have been really polluted and dirty. And that's where disease has spread. So, and we even see that with COVID in especially some of the developing countries of the world, where cities are dense and people are packed together. We see disease and other things spread really quickly just because people are living on top of each other. So to spread that out, he suggests, is actually a good thing because it sort of gives more breathing space and cleans up the areas. Okay, great. We are going to, can you flip over the page in your packages? The next page that you have should be called Aboriginal Relations. Okay, and I'll just hold it up. It should look like this. Okay, so it has some questions with some spaces for you to answer. So I'm going to just start us into the topic. So remembering at the beginning of this unit, we talked about immigration and why people want to come and settle in Canada. And then we've looked at kind of urban and rural places in Canada and why people may choose to settle in one over the other. And now we're just going to back up a little bit to remind ourselves that the original people who settled Canada were Indigenous Aboriginal people. Okay, so we talked about using those synonyms, Native, Indigenous, and Aboriginal people. So those were the people who came to Canada first. If we think of Pangea, and if we think of when the earth was kind of more together, some people think that, and then like a cooling of the earth after that in what we would know as an ice age, is that people then traveled across the top of the world where everything was frozen. Inuit people traveled across and settled up there from places like what we know of now as Russia and the Middle East, traveled over the top of Canada and then began settling further south. Those are some of the ideas of how Indigenous people came to settle here. But we want to understand that they were here before Europeans arrived around the time of Columbus and Magellan, which is like the late 1400s, 1490s, early 1500s. Colonies like Portugal and Spain and France were sending explorers out to find a way to get to India and China more effectively than overland camel caravan that took literally years to get there, get the spices and get back. They were looking for a faster route, and in the process they discovered North America. So we know this from elementary school. This is just a quick review. So it's important in geography for us to remember that Europeans were not the first to settle Canada. They came later after Aboriginal people. Your first question on your page asks, what two important principles did the Royal Proclamation of 1763 give to British administrators who dealt with First Nations? So first thing we want to remember is this royal proclamation is happening from Britain. Canada isn't even the country we know of Canada yet. Anyone tell me when Canada became a country, the country of Canada?
Isn't it like 1850 or somewhere in the 1850s?
It was in the 1800s. Anyone know?
1867.
Good job. Nice work. Okay, so 1867. So this is a full 100 years before Canada becomes a country. It's a colony of Great Britain. And Great Britain realizes the need to begin dealing with the First Nations people who are already in Canada. So they decide to make a royal proclamation. And the royal proclamation establishes two important principles. The first one is that land ownership rights are to be respected. Okay, so first point you need to take notes on is that land ownership rights need to be respected. The land ownership rights of the Aboriginal people need to be respected. Okay, so that was the first principle of the Royal Proclamation. And the second one is that First Nations people should receive fair payment for the land they give up. Okay, so fair payment to First Nations for the land they give up. So those 2 points again, the land ownership rights of First Nations need to be respected, and they need to be paid fairly for the land they give up. Those are the two basic principles of that Royal Proclamation. Based on what you know from elementary school of Canadian history and geography, social studies, how well did we do with following those two proclamations, or those two, excuse me, principles of the Royal Proclamation? How well did we do? I'm not seeing anything in the chat, and I'm not hearing anyone's microphone. Not great. Okay. Good job, Drew. Yeah. So Europeans at the time failed pretty miserably in these two areas. So we would often see things like parcels of land or chunks of land being given in exchange for blankets, or in exchange for tinware that Europeans had in supplies that the Aboriginal people didn't have. Okay. Someone just asked a quick question about the second one, and that is that the second principle is that First Nations need to receive fair payment for the land they gave up. Okay. Fair payment for the land that they give up. Okay, so we see often in Canadian histories really small payments for chunks of land. So a few blankets or a few tools, clothing. And then by the 1850s, larger areas of land are being exchanged for small reserves of cash and promises to let them retain hunting and fishing rights on those lands. the other thing we want to remember is that the idea of ownership was kind of a European concept at this point. So from what we understand, although there were certainly battles between Aboriginal peoples and tribes before Europeans got here, so we don't want to take an idealized view and say everything was amazing until Europeans got here. That's not true. But there was a much more fluid sense of land ownership, so that a specific tribe would hunt in that area, but then move kind of with the herd through other areas. And as long as they weren't encroaching on another tribe or group's area that they were farming, fishing, or hunting, there was this easy movement between. So that in Europe, we often see people fencing off and saying, this is mine, and you need to ask me if you want to use this, and I can say yes or no. Amongst Aboriginal cultures, there was no such thing as fences until Europeans got here. The only reason they used fences was a way to protect themselves against other tribes potentially, or to keep their animals in maybe while they were giving birth in the spring or things like that, until they were old enough or big enough to wander with the herd. So that when Aboriginal people were being traded chunks of land for blankets or things like that, we also need to understand that they didn't know it was a permanent, this is ours now, you can't have this kind of, they understood land ownership much more fluidly. So that even if they thought they were trading, it was for the use of that land, not the ownership of that land, or the use of that land in that season or for that year, not forever. And that's an ideology that, you know, we've grown up with ownership, and you just saw my backyard and it's fenced off to keep our dog in, but also it just makes it easier to know whose is whose. And we're just so used of that in this kind of European idea. So that's the other complicated part of this, is that even though we have signed treaties where Europeans could say, no, look, you signed this, they didn't understand how long the treaty would last and how permanent it was, because they had no concept of that kind of land ownership in their traditional way of sharing and using the land. That you can't actually own the land. The land is land. You can use it and you can be grateful for it. Okay, so that is answer to question 1 with just a little bit of background. Okay, so a question just popped up in the chat, like, are we answering question 2? Not yet. That's just some background information besides just those 2 areas that the treaty was supposed to care for. We also need this background to understand European approach to land ownership versus Aboriginal approach to land ownership were like miles apart. So that was another reason that we're going to see things break down here, is because their understanding of land ownership was really, really different. Okay, so in what 2 ways, this is question 2, what 2 important ways did treaties fail to meet the needs of Aboriginal peoples? So the first way is that Aboriginal peoples lost enormous amounts of land, especially in southern and central Canada, where land is most productive. So I'll read that again. Aboriginal peoples lost enormous amounts of land, especially in southern and central Canada, where the land is most productive. So that is the first way that the treaty failed. And the second way is that Aboriginal peoples lost their right to govern themselves? So the second point is Aboriginal peoples lost the right to govern themselves. They gave up, number one, they lost enormous amounts of land, especially where it's most productive. And number two, they lost the right to govern themselves. Okay, I am going to wrap up our seminar here. You guys have done great. And that just leaves you question 3 and 4. And you can tackle that tomorrow in your geography block. Okay, so question 3 and 4, you will want to turn, it says page 196, but you need to start on 199 because I just covered the first 3 pages for you. So just make a note at question 3, start at page 199 in your textbook and read those remaining 4 or 5 pages and answer your questions tomorrow in your geography block. Okay, so that it won't take you the whole hour. It should not take you the whole hour. It may, but it should not. I don't think it will. Okay, I see thumbs up. So great. Any questions? Okay, so if you are wondering about your population pyramid, please stay on the call for just a couple minutes and I will give you answers. That's what I'll do. And the rest of you, you're champs, you've done it, good job. You are released. You may leave this call right now. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you Thursday. Okay. Alexa, are you staying on the call? Or are you trying to get off and can't find the right button? Get me out of here. Let me leave. Alexa, are you staying on? Oh, did you get my, I did. Yeah. You submitted it great. So you're good to go. You're free. Okay, see you later. Okay, Ezra. You just
I
haven't
just
done it?
haven't done it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, can you get it out? It should be in that binder you have sitting right beside you.
Yeah.
And we'll take like 2 minutes and just make sure you understand what you're supposed to do.
Okay.
Okay. So there's this page and
Yep,
it
I
has
have it open.
Canada here. And then there's this page with the template.
Okay.
Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to take these figures, see this age 0 to 4 up here.
Yep.
And then you find that at the very bottom of your template, see 0 to 4 down here. So on your chart, it has boys and girls, males and females. So males make up 5.6% of the population and females 5.2. So in this age category, 0 to 4-year-olds, 5.6 of them are male, 5.2 of them are female. So then you just take this template and you fill in on the female side, the 5.2, and on the male side, the 5.6, just roughly like in between that 5 and 6 there. For instance.
Okay.
You got that? And then
Yeah.
you'll eventually have these all filled in and it will take a shape. And then you're just supposed to analyze that using these couple of questions here.
You just want me to do it for Canada?
Yeah, just do Canada.
Okay.
Okay. You can even do that right now. It'd be so exciting.
Okay.
Okay, sounds great, Ezra. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.